Ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends, you may have walked through years of pain, years of confusion, years where nothing made sense, years that felt stolen, wasted, and broken beyond repair. But hear this prophetic truth deep in your spirit today. God is about to restore every wasted year of your life. The time you thought was gone forever. The opportunities you thought you missed. The relationships that slipped through your hands. The seasons that felt barren, unfruitful. None of it is beyond the reach of God's restoration. What you call wasted, God calls waiting. What you call loss, God calls preparation. What you call failure, God calls foundation. There comes a moment in every believer's life when God steps in not to give you what you lost, but to give you something greater than what you lost. And that moment is now. You are standing on the edge of divine recovery. You may not see it yet, but heaven has already written your comeback story. God is not intimidated by how much time has passed. He is not limited by what people did to you, by the mistakes you made, or by how old you've become. Time does not control God. God controls time, and when He decides to restore, He does not merely replace, He multiplies. You see, the human heart often mourns over what is gone. We replay the years that slipped away, the chances that faded, the people who walked away. But God is not in the business of rewinding your past. He is in the business of redeeming it. He can take 10 years of wilderness and turn them into 1 year of abundance. He can take a decade of delay and compress it into a single divine moment that shifts your destiny forever. When God restores, He does not give back what you had. He gives back what you never imagined you could have. There are seasons when it seems as though your life is moving backward. You work hard, but nothing grows. You pray, but doors remain closed. You sow, but there's no harvest. It feels as though everything you built has fallen apart. But my friend, the silence of God does not mean the absence of God. When nothing seems to be happening, everything is actually being prepared. The unseen hand of God is aligning circumstances, shaping people, and arranging opportunities for a divine recovery that will shock you. You may not understand why you went through that heartbreak. You may not understand why that business collapsed. You may not understand why those years felt wasted. But God says, I allowed what broke you to shape what's coming next. You could not see it then. But every tear, every disappointment, every delay was a seed sown in the soil of your destiny. Those tears were not wasted. That pain was not wasted. Those lonely nights were not wasted. The God who watches over your life does not lose count of what you've endured. And now He is about to make the enemy regret ever touching your life. When God restores, He does not ask for permission. He does not check the calendar. He does not consult your past. He simply speaks a word and everything begins to align. The very places where you once cried will become places of laughter. The people who mocked, you will have to watch your eyes. The doors that were closed will swing open by divine authority. What you thought was over is about to begin again. God is about to redeem the time, renew your strength, and rebuild what was broken. Stronger, greater, and more glorious than before. Do not think for a moment that God has forgotten you. You have not been overlooked. You have not been abandoned. You have been hidden. Hidden in preparation for the season of restoration. Hidden because your foundation had to be strengthened before the weight of your blessing could be released. God sometimes delays because He is building something eternal. He allows the years to seem wasted so that when the restoration comes, no man will be able to take credit for it. Everyone was God. You must understand this divine restoration begins not with what God gives you, but with what God awakens in you. The first thing God restores is not your finances, not your relationships, not your opportunities. It's your faith. Because once your faith is alive again, everything else begins to rise. God cannot restore through a heart that has given up. He restores through a spirit that dares to believe again. You may have been through failure after failure, but this is not the end. God has written something powerful into your story that is about to unfold before your very eyes. The same God who created time can reverse it. The same God who spoke worlds into being can speak life into the ashes of your past. The same God who turned a barren wilderness into a river of abundance can turn your years of loss into years of overflow. God never wastes a wound, never ignores a tear, never overlooks a heart that has been faithful in silence. You've cried long enough. You've carried that burden long enough. It is time to stand up in the authority of faith and declare, my wasted years are being restored by the hand of God. Restoration does not come through wishing. It comes through alignment. You must align your mind, your words, your expectations with the truth of what God has declared. Stop talking about what you lost and start speaking about what's being restored. Stop focusing on who left and start thanking God for who's about to arrive. Stop rehearsing your pain and start declaring your purpose. God cannot fill a heart that clings to what's gone. Release the past and make room for what's coming. Some of you think your time is over. You say, I am too old. I missed my chance. I wasted my youth. But God says, I am not limited by your age. I am the restorer of years, not moments, not opportunities. Years. That means the years you spent wandering, the years you spent grieving, the years you spent trying to figure out who you are. God can compress all of that into one divine season of overflow. When He restores, He pays back in multiplied measure. What took others 20 years to build, God can give you in 2. What was delayed for a decade, God can manifest in a day. You may not understand how, but you will see it happen. God can cause people to favor you out of nowhere. He can cause lost opportunities to find their way back to your door. He can cause your name to be mentioned in rooms you've never entered. The same God who orchestrates the movements of galaxies is orchestrating the details of your restoration. He can revive what you thought was dead and breathe new life into the areas you gave up on. Every time you thought you were losing, God was actually saving. Every closed door was a redirection. Every disappointment was divine protection. You thought you were being delayed, but you were being developed. God was maturing your faith, sharpening your discernment, and deepening your dependence. Because when the restoration comes, you will not just enjoy it. You will sustain it. God will not give you a blessing that your character cannot carry. He will not restore something to you that your spirit cannot manage. That is why the waiting has been so long. That is why the silence was so heavy. But now the preparation is over. The season of restoration is here. There is a sound rising in the spirit. It is the sound of chains breaking. The sound of tears turning into laughter. The sound of barren places becoming fruitful again. The sound of time being redeemed. God is rewriting your story. What was once a testimony of pain is about to become a story of power. What was once a season of emptiness is about to overflow with divine abundance. Your life is about to be a public display of what God can do when He restores a person completely. Do not underestimate what God can do in 1 year of restoration. You've had years of waiting, but 1 year of divine acceleration can make it all make sense. One move of God can reposition everything. The job you lost, the relationship that ended, the season that dried up, all of it can turn into a testimony of restoration overnight. You must keep your faith alive, because faith is the magnet that attracts divine recovery. Every tear you cried has been counted. Every prayer you whispered in the dark has been heard. Every sacrifice you made in silence has been recorded. And now heaven is ready to respond. The time of hiding is over. The time of weeping is over. The time of restoration has come. God is about to shock you with what He is about to release. You will look back and say, "No, I understand why it had to take so long." You will say, "Now I see why those years felt wasted, because God was preparing something beyond imagination." There will be no trace of your former pain. The same way a wound heals and leaves behind only strength, your restoration will leave behind only glory. People will look at you and see not the scars, but the strength that came from them. They will ask, "How did you recover so quickly? How did everything change?" And you will know deep within your spirit it was God. No man could have orchestrated it. No logic could have explained it. It was divine restoration. You must rise now. Do not stay in the place of mourning. Do not let regret be your companion. You have mourned your lost years long enough. Stand in faith. Lift your head high and declare, "God is restoring me." Speak it until your atmosphere changes. Declare it until your heart believes it. Prophesy it until it manifests in your life. Because what you speak in faith, God establishes in reality. When God restores, He does not begin from where you stopped. He begins from where you should have been if nothing had been stolen from you. He recalculates your destiny, not to bring you back to zero, but to propel you forward into divine compensation. The years the locust has eaten, the seasons that were drained by pain and confusion, the time that seemed swallowed by regret, God remembers every detail. He remembers every year that slipped away. And He is not restoring just for the sake of balance. He is restoring to reveal His power and faithfulness in your life. The hand of God will move so swiftly that those who once pied you will stand in awe of what He has done. There are moments when you will feel as though everything is too broken to be repaired. You will look at your life and see fragments, pieces of dreams, shattered hopes, lost opportunities, and wonder how anything good can ever rise from it. But the power of God works best in the broken. Restoration is not about gluing the pieces together. It is about creating something new out of what was shattered. God does not simply fix what's broken. He transforms it into something stronger, something more beautiful, something more enduring. Her music, that the cracks in your story become the very places where His light shines through. You must understand God allows loss not to punish you, but to position you. He allows things to be taken away, not because He is cruel, but because He is clearing space for something greater. Some doors had to close, not because you were unworthy, but because they were too small for the person you are becoming. Some people had to walk away, not because you failed, but because they could not go where God is taking you. When you begin to see through divine eyes, you will realize that nothing was wasted, not the pain, not the silence, not even the mistakes. Everything that felt wasted is about to become a part of the masterpiece God is painting with your life. Restoration is not just about regaining material things. It is about reclaiming your identity. Somewhere along the journey, pain tried to redefine you. The voice of disappointment told you that you are not enough, that your best days are behind you. But God says otherwise. Her music, He is restoring the strength of your heart, the clarity of your purpose, the purity of your faith. He is breathing life into the parts of you that stop dreaming, the parts that stop believing, that grew numb from waiting. You will not merely survive what you went through. You will rise from it with a new authority, a new confidence, and a new vision for what's ahead. Sometimes God allows you to lose everything to remind you that He is your everything. When all else is stripped away and you find yourself standing alone, that is when divine intimacy begins. That's when you begin to understand that restoration begins not with the return of things, but with the return of God's presence. Once He is with you again, in the fullness of your faith, everything else begins to follow. The blessing follows presence. The overflow follows obedience. The restoration follows surrender. Do not despise your waiting season. The years you call wasted were actually years of preparation. God was planting roots in your soul that no storm could destroy. You were not stagnant. You were being fortified. You were not forgotten. You were being refined. You were not delayed. You were being developed. The deeper the roots, the greater the fruit. And when the time of restoration comes, the fruit will appear suddenly. What seemed delayed for years will blossom in days. God will make up for time in ways your human mind cannot calculate. The wisdom of God is beyond comprehension. You see the pain of the moment, but God sees the purpose of eternity. You see what was taken, but God sees what's being multiplied. When you thought you lost something valuable, He was protecting you from something harmful. When you thought you wasted time, He was cultivating divine timing. When you thought you failed, He was teaching you to depend on Him fully. That is why when restoration comes, it is not a simple replacement. It is redemption infused with revelation. You will not just receive what you lost. You will understand why you lost it, and you will praise God for the wisdom behind it. There is a divine principle at work. God restores only what has been surrendered. The reason some people never experience duration is because they keep clinging to what was. You cannot receive new oil while holding on to an old vessel. You cannot walk into your next season with the weight of your last one. Let go. Release it. Hand over your disappointments, your regrets, your what-ifs and I-phonies. When you surrender your past, God sanctifies your future. When you let go of what you think you need, God gives you what you truly need. And when God restores, He does it publicly. The same people who saw you weep will see you rejoice. The same voices that mocked your downfall will witness your rise. The same circumstances that once shamed you will be the backdrop of your glory. Restoration is not silent. It is a testimony. God will make your restoration a message to others that nothing is ever too far gone when He is involved. You will not need to explain yourself. Your life will explain it for you. Some of you are asking, when will it happen? How much longer must I wait? But remember, divine timing is not human timing. God restores when your heart is ready to carry the blessing without idolizing it. He waits until your motives are purified, your priorities are aligned, and your faith is mature. When He restores too soon, it can destroy you. When He restores at the appointed time, it completes you. So instead of asking when, start asking, how can I align? Because the moment you align, the floodgates of divine favor will open. Do not underestimate what happens when God breathes upon a dry season. What was empty can overflow. What was silent can sing again. What was lost can reappear with greater beauty than before. You may think your story is over, but in the eyes of God, it has just begun. Every failure, every tear, every moment of confusion is a sentence in a greater story of redemption. And when the final chapter unfolds, you will see that it was all working toward restoration. Some people only know God as the creator, but you are about to know Him as the restorer. You are about to experience the side of His nature that takes ruins and makes them radiant. You will understand why He allowed the walls of your life to crumble. Because He wanted to rebuild them with His own hands. When God rebuilds, He fortifies. When He restores, He beautifies. What once embarrassed you will soon empower you. What once broke you will soon bless you. Do not fear the empty places. God begins every miracle in emptiness. The universe began in darkness, yet God spoke light into it. Your life may look dark right now, but darkness is the canvas where His glory shines brightest. The emptiness you feel is the space where restoration is about to grow. Do not run from it, embrace it. Because in that emptiness, God is preparing the soil for your greatest harvest. Every delay is divine choreography. Every closed door is strategic redirection. Every no you received was a sacred protection. You thought you were being rejected, but you were being redirected towards something better. You thought it was over, but it was only beginning. The God who restores is never late. He is precise. Every second of delay has purpose. Every pause is a setup for acceleration. When His timing collides with your preparation, restoration becomes unstoppable. And when it comes, it will come with peace. You will no longer strive for what you once chased. You will not have to manipulate, beg, or force things to happen. The same doors that refused to open before will open effortlessly. The same people who ignored you will seek you out. The same situations that drained you will now serve you. Because when God restores, He restores order. Everything begins to flow in divine rhythm again. You are not forgotten. You are being positioned. You are not behind schedule. You are right on divine time. God has seen your endurance. He has seen how you refused to give up, even when everything seemed lost. He has seen how you kept believing when there was nothing left to believe in. That faith has reached heaven, and now the wind of restoration is blowing in your direction. The same wind that parted seas will part your obstacles. The same hand that raised the humble will raise you. Do not be surprised when people from your past reappear, not to harm you, but to honor you. God will use even those who hurt you to bless you. He will make peace where there was once conflict, favor where there was once rejection, and victory where there was once defeat. Your restoration will not come from where you expect. It will come from where God ordains. He is not limited to your plans. He is the God who brings water from rocks and bread from heaven. He can use anything, anyone, anytime, anywhere. Restoration also brings responsibility. God is not just giving you back what was lost. He is trusting you to steward it with wisdom. The same pain that once humbled you will now keep you grounded. The same tears that once weakened you will now make you compassionate. The same silence that once tested you will now become your strength. Restoration without transformation is temporary. But restoration built on divine wisdom is eternal. So rise up, shake off the dust of your past. Walk into the new season with faith that burns brighter than your fears. Let your heart sing again. Let your spirit believe again. Let your mind imagine again. Because what is coming is not a repetition of your past. It is the reward for your perseverance. The wasted years were not wasted at all. They were invested by the hand of God into your future harvest. And now that harvest is ready, your story is not over. It is being rewritten by the author of time. The pen is in his hand, and he is crafting a new chapter. One filled with beauty, joy, and divine fulfillment. You will wake up one day and realize the pain has turned into peace. The delay has turned into destiny, and the loss has turned into laughter. That is the power of God's restoration. And now listen deeply, because this is the hour where the Word of God becomes reality in your life. You have carried the pain of your past long enough. You have replayed those wasted years long enough. God is now speaking into the very soil of your destiny and commanding it to bring forth life again. The years that were consumed by confusion, the seasons swallowed by loss, the time that seemed barren and fruitless, all of it is being restored under divine order. This is not just another message. This is a declaration over your future. God is about to restore all your wasted years. You will soon see the signs of it. Doors that were long closed will begin to open without effort. People who once turned away will look for you again. Not because of who you are, but because of what God has done through you. Situations that once embarrassed you will become your greatest testimonies. The same places where you once cried will become altars of thanksgiving. You will look back and realize that nothing was wasted, not even the waiting. Every tear watered a seed of breakthrough. Every loss cleared the ground for new growth. Every disappointment redirected you toward divine alignment. And now what you thought was over is being reborn. God is breathing upon your life with a new wind of strength, peace, and restoration. The days of confusion are over. The nights of fear are over. The season of restoration has come. Do not fear the future. God has already walked through it. Do not mourn the past. God has already redeemed it. The pain that once crippled you will now empower you. The time you thought was gone forever will now serve you. You will live to see the purpose behind every closed door, every delay, every heartbreak. God has not forgotten even a second of your suffering, and He will repay you in full. Walk in confidence. Walk in expectation. Walk in peace. Because when God restores, He restores completely. Nothing missing, nothing broken, nothing wasted. The years that seemed lost will come back in divine acceleration. What you are about to receive will not just replace what was taken. It will exceed it. You will know that every second of waiting was worth it. Because when God restores, He never gives back the same. He gives back better. So lift your head high, stand in faith. Speak boldly over your life and say, my time is not lost. My destiny is not delayed. My years are being restored by the hand of God. And as you say it, let your heart believe it, because your faith is the key that unlocks restoration. Your surrender is the soil where miracles grow. And your perseverance is the seed that brings forth a harvest no man can take away. The story of your life is not ending in loss. It is rising in restoration. What God is about to do will silence the voices of doubt, break the chains of regret, and release the fragrance of divine favor all around you. You will step into days of peace so radiant that the memory of pain will fade. You will carry a joy that cannot be stolen, a wisdom that cannot be shaken, and a strength that cannot be broken. And when you look back, you will not see wasted years. You will see divine preparation. You will not see emptiness. You will see the faithfulness of God written across every season. The very years you called wasted will stand as witnesses to the glory of God in your life. So go forth with peace, with faith, with fire in your spirit, because God is about to restore all your wasted years. And when He does, your life will never be the same again.